Welcome to another ThemeMountain video tutorial. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to add a caption, a button, and an icon to a Parallax section. So I've already set up my Parallax section here in a previous tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to modify the width of the column that wraps the caption. And we can do this in the Parallax element itself, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So by default it sets to 6 column width and an offset of 3, but I'm going to go ahead and change this to 8. Now if you're not familiar with the column widths and offsets, I suggest you check out our tutorial about column widths and offsets. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to width 8 and offset by 2 columns. Go ahead and save that, and I'm going to go ahead and add a caption. So when the caption settings open here, we have a few options relating to the margins. So the first is margin bottom on desktop, and the second one relates to the margin bottom on mobiles. Now this is useful if you want to have a more spaced out layout on desktop and then want to reduce the bottom margin or clear it on mobile. And then we have the captions. I'm going to go ahead and add that. I'm going to change the background color of the text editor here because I want to switch the text color to white. I'm just going to change the format here. There we go, so I have my caption. I'm pretty happy with that. Then we have the display options for captions, and now if we wanted to display multiple captions on the same line, we could do so by selecting display inline. For the time being though, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave it as is. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a button. And just like our caption, we have the margin bottom and margin bottom on mobiles option here. But again, I'm just going to leave it for the time being. Then we can choose whether the button should initiate a scroll to section or whether it should just link to a URL. For the time being, I'm just going to leave it to the default do not scroll. Then we have, we can select an icon for the button. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that as an example. Add a label. And then we can set the URL and the target, whether it should open in the same tab or a new tab. Then we have the display options, and again, similar to the captions, should we want to display multiple buttons on the same line, we can force them to display inline. For the time being, I'm just going to insert one button, so I'm not going to do that right now. And then we have the design options that relate to the button. We can choose the icon alignment, the size, the style of the button. Again, I suggest you go through this and get a feel for the different styling options. So I'm just going to quickly change the colors here of the button as an example here. Right, so I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And if I'm not happy with the arrangement of the caption and the button, I can simply drag the button above the caption and vice versa. So let's see what that looks like. And there we go, so I have my caption here and I have my button here. So it's pretty straightforward. Right now, of course, the button isn't linking to anything, but I suggest you play around with it. And now I'm going to show you how to insert an icon. So I'm going to just go ahead and remove this button, and I'm going to add an icon instead. So just like the button, we have the margin bottom options for desktop and mobile. Select the icon here. You have a range of different options what you can link it to. You could either scroll to a particular section, you could link it to a page, or you could link it to a lightbox. So just as an example, I'm going to go ahead and link it to a lightbox, and I'm going to select a Vimeo video. And then you're presented with a range of different options for the lightbox. I'm just going to go ahead and select these as an example. Maybe add a little caption here, and I'm going to go ahead and add a Vimeo ID here. There we go. And then we have the video URL parameters, and this is where you can style your player. For example, force it to autoplay or change the color and so forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and add autoplay here. Note that we do provide a section in the documentation that links to the different parameter pages for both Vimeo and YouTube, so that you can get familiar with the different player parameters. So I've set everything up here the way that I want. Then we can go to display options, and just like the button and caption, I can decide whether it should in fact be displayed on the same line or not. But for the time being, I'm just going to display it like this. Then again, we have the design option, so the way that the icon appears. And I'm just going to leave it to medium, and I'm going to set this to circled just as an example. So I'm going to go ahead and change this. Let's see here. Change the border color. And also the color of the icon. Right, so I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I suggest you go through these options and play around with them and see what they do. I'm going to go ahead and save that, and then let's see what this looks like. There we go, so we have the caption, we have the play button, and now I launched a video in a lightbox. So I suggest you try these different options out and give it a try. And that's all for this tutorial.